Welcome to Vintage Toys. This is part 5, Space Age Toys. In the early 1960s, possibly about 1962, I received one of these for Christmas. It's a Dan Space Control radio station. In the early 60s, aged about 9, I didn't really know who Dan was. It was the space version of Biggles, really, I think. Anyway, this is a Dan Space Control radio station which sends and receives voice and code up to half a mile. It has an interplanetary transmitter, a two-way phone, a revolving searchlight and an automatic decoder. I think it's time to open the box and find out what's inside, and not unsurprisingly, inside the box is a Dan Space Control radio station. This is not the one I had as a child, it's one I bought off eBay a few years ago. These are the walkie-talkie handsets, and each of them have 3 buttons, one for Mars, one for Venus and one for Saturn. These are quite good quality toys. I think the aerial's broken off, but that's possibly a good thing because a lot of toys from this period were quite dangerous. Don't forget we're in the early 1960s here, so these are not wireless, they're not Bluetooth, and they do not work with your Wi-Fi system. You need wires to connect them together. I haven't got any wires. I have the plugs that at one time were attached to the wires, but no wires. So as it says on the box, sends and receives voice and code up to half a mile. Fighting the urge to go onto Amazon and buy half a mile of very fine wire, I'm going to be happy just having the components, not the wire. You only need a short piece of wire to connect this handset to the radio station. The half a mile long piece of wire is to connect the other handset. When I turn the radio station around, you can see that in the past, some miscreant who once owned it put some stickers on the back. This radio station takes a large pair of batteries, and once I fitted them as shown, I shut the lid of the compartment and turned the radio station around again. This is a really good toy if you're about 7, 8 or 9 years old. I've plugged the patch cord into the space telebuzzer. This knob is the automatic decoder. It has letters, and underneath it dots and dashes. This is Morse code. Eventually I selected the letter M, which is 2 dashes. Then the letter N, which is a dash and a dot. So in its way, it's pretty educational. The space telebuzzer is just for practicing your Morse code. Once you master it, you plug it into the interplanetary transmitter. And as you press the Morse key, the space signal detector rotates in an entirely different way. It shows numbers, which I assume are the distances between Venus, Earth, Mars and Saturn. The point is, as you press the button, it moves. And it gets better. You can take the radio station outside and using this facility, with the Morse key, you can send Morse code up into the sky, light years away from Earth, just by turning this knob and pressing the key. It's altogether quite a good kid's toy. I think it's time to go back to the interplanetary transmitter and finally the space telebuzzer. Overwhelmed with excitement at almost 68 years old, it's time to remove the batteries and put it back in its box. So why did I buy this via eBay? Well, I saw it, the price was right, and it takes me back to my childhood. It's simple and uncomplicated, just like a girlfriend I once had. For the next vintage toy, I need these batteries again. Now this vintage toy is really, really good. In common with a lot of my childhood toys, as I got slightly older, I took them apart to see how they worked. This toy is called an Alps, A-L-P-S, robot. As a child I loved the one that I had, and now even as an adult I still like it a lot. So what does it do? Well, it walks across the table, its arms move, you can set the arms into different positions. It has a multicoloured flashing prismatic bar at the front and the eyes contra-rotate. In my opinion, the best thing about this small tin plate robot is this. The small TV screen in the front of the body shows an actual moving space panorama. And this is really simple when you think about it. It's just an endless loop that goes around 2 pulleys and there's a light behind it that lights it up. No electronics at all. That's probably why it works nearly 60 years later. I don't think these batteries are very strong because I think it normally goes a bit faster than this, and the lights, including the bulb behind the screen, glow a little bit more brightly. How good is this? I think it's wonderful, this toy. The robot can walk on hard surfaces because it has rubber wheels under its feet that only rotate one way. What more could a child in the 60s of 8 or 9 years of age really want? The robot that I received that was exactly like this one, I really do think was the best Christmas present I ever got. I mean, look at it, it's walking around the table while simultaneously running a TV programme. There are some variants of this robot. Some of the later ones I think had plastic legs, but this one is all tin plate. They're quite collectible and fetch quite a lot of money, surprisingly. When I got this out of the glass-fronted cabinet where I keep it, I looked on eBay to see what they were fetching, and it would appear that since I bought this one, the price of them has increased by about £100. That really doesn't matter though, because I don't want to sell it. This robot is one of the early ones with the really dangerous aerial. Look at this. The top of it is so sharp I can quite easily push it into an eggshell. I've drawn the eye on the eggshell to illustrate a point. Thankfully I never stabbed myself in the eye with the aerial, but owing to the fact that later models of this robot, with the plastic legs, had a completely different type of antenna in the form of a satellite dish. The metal antenna goes in a hole in the top of the head of the robot, and that completes the electrical circuit from the battery to make it work. Incidentally, these aren't new batteries, I just increased the speed of the video. Moving on now as the robot walks out of shot. The 1960s were also the atomic age, where you could buy luminous radioactive watches and a chemistry set that would kill you. Personally though, mine didn't, because I'm still here. Calling this small toy an atomic submarine would probably contravene the Trade Descriptions Act these days, but on the side of the box it does say clockwork submarine, it dives its surfaces. And now here it is. These small tin plate submarines are getting quite collectible and quite expensive to boot. The older versions of this model were quite different. One was called Nautilus and the other one was called Under Wonder. This one wasn't too expensive. It's the one I wanted because it's the type that I had as a child. These were made in a place called Horsforth, near Leeds in the UK. I know the place well. This model is in really good condition for its age. So how does it work? Well, first of all, you take the rubber plug out of the top, which also has the periscope fitted in it. This one came with a key. A lot of the ones for sale don't have the keys. Even though these were mass-produced items, they're actually very handmade. Time to wind it up. I'm not going to wind it up all that far. I don't want to stress out the mainspring. That's what happened to the one that I had, and once I took it apart, I never put it back together. As this model is exactly the same as the one I had as a child, it brings back great memories of our family holiday once a year in Bridlington, East Yorkshire. And in Bridlington, on the promenade were some small boating lakes, where my father and I would sail the one that I had as a child. I remember it well, very happy days. Time to put it in the box, and I'm going to put it in the cabinet right next to the robot. Just in case you're interested, here is a shot of the instructions on the box. I don't think I'll be sailing this much. One reason being that the rubber bung in the top is a bit hard and perished with age, so it probably wouldn't seal. So that's it. These are remnants of the space age and atomic age that was probably one of the better parts of the 1960s. Stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.